Medication and Ascension. I'm going to do my very best to deeply honor this content, and I have to be really careful as well, so please bear with me. So I was asked the question, how does the Ascension process relate to being on, and the example this person gave was anxiety medication and ADHD medication. So I'm going to address that. I'm going to share a little bit about my own personal journey with pharmaceutical medications. I'm going to break down some myths for you today. And I have to start with saying I am not a medical practitioner. I have absolutely zero education in anything to do with anything either naturopathic or pharmaceutical. I am only sharing my personal journey and then my personal opinion that comes from the wisdom of my own path. So now that that's out of the way, I personally, prior to my awakening, was on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. I was on Effexor for 9 years, and in the last probably 3 years of that, I was taking Ativan as well. And then the very last piece of it, I was medicating myself. I wasn't taking any of it as prescribed. I was taking it the way I wanted to take it, just to keep a lid on the character that Sheila needed to be in the life that she was living. I wasn't aware at the time when I was being prepared for my awakening, so that the awakening could even happen, I had to get off these medications. And I look back now, and how that came to be was absolutely 100% a synchronistic thing that was created by my higher self in preparation for what was to come, which was going to be my awakening. The person that helped me get off my medication was a chiropractor. You don't often hear that. And in my ignorance, because I was very unconscious and very unawake, I had perceived chiropractors to be, that's where people go that have had car accidents and stuff. They're a backcracker. That's what I perceived chiropractors to be. And I had a very synchronistic meeting with a lovely gentleman who explained to me about how this was all correlated and how he felt he would be able to help me get off my medication. And I unknowingly still didn't even really know why, but I was agreeing to everything he was saying and I was going for it. So I got off all of my medication in preparation for my awakening to come in, which happened in December 2012. Just after that, while I was still in probably about a 2-year process of my body being recoded, I also had another synchronistic event where all of my mercury fillings had to be replaced. And I look back now and go, okay, I totally understand why that was happening. And I can see all the synchronicities around the timing and all of the things. But again, at the time, I wasn't awake and aware enough to even know that I was on a journey. So my higher self was co-creating and working with me and through me, both internally and in my reality, to ensure that I had all the things put in place that would allow me to embark on the awakening process in a more conscious way. So I share that with you just as an assurance that no matter where you are in your journey, your higher self is always working with you and through you, whether you know it or not. So let's talk a little bit about the myths. The biggest myth in spirituality is that you can't be taking medication or any other form of things and still ascend. And I don't believe that that is true. I believe that the consciousness that you are integrating and aligning to is always going to dictate the outcome that you have signed up to have. Do we need to be aware not to be popping an Advil or a Tylenol or this or that or whatever, every single little ache and pain and everything that goes on in the body in the ascension process? 100%. The point is to be conscious and aware. However, if you are, and I can't go through a list, I'm only going to just give a couple of examples. If you are on heart medication, I don't recommend you stop taking that necessarily, because having your heart work optimally while your body is going through its own inner alchemization process of converting everything from carbon to crystalline, you still need to have that as a resource. I had asthma as a child. I was hospitalized last October twice for an absolute flare-up, return of all of the asthmatic symptoms. And now I'm on a puffer. I have a specialist. I have a bunch of diagnoses that I don't really buy into, but the one thing that I do to support myself and support the resourcing of my body while it goes through the sort of alchemizing the density of the asthma that I was born with, it's going to take time. And in that time, I use a puffer. There's no judgment. There's no judgment around that. So there are medications that you are going to continue to need to take in order to resource your body while your body goes through this process. And what you decide to take or not take is a discussion that you do not have with me. You have with your medical professional, with your guides, with your team. You go within and you see what answers resonate for you. But again, remember, your higher self will always be working with you and through you. I have had a number of clients over the years where I have had both the conversation of you need to still be on your medication, whether it's an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication, based on when I meet them, based on what you're going through, what your nervous system is going through, and how well or not you are managing this. Now is not the time to take the medication off the table. I've had other clients where I have suggested you may want to consider getting off your medication, because any medication that suppresses your ability to feel is also suppressing your ability to heal and to release the body of all of the density that it needs to be released. There have been times where I've said to clients, okay, let's look at it from this perspective. You're very resistant to taking an anti-anxiety medication. However, all of the healing and the feeling and the ascension symptoms that are all piling up on top of you, you're not managing it well. Not that you're not doing it right, but it's overloading your system. What if you took an anti-anxiety medication for a 3-month or a 6-month period while you also start doing the activities and the healing work and the nervous system support techniques that you're going to be learning, so that you can do both and then eventually come back off the medication, just to give yourself a reprieve, just so that you and your nervous system can really feel what it feels like to be in a more calm state while you also do the back end work. So the conversations come in many different forms and flavors. And again, I am not in any way, shape, or form sitting in session with clients professing to be the person that should be making these decisions on their behalf. I'm simply a voice of wisdom and a second pair of eyes. As far as the ADHD medications go, there are more and more and more adults that are self-diagnosing, and it's not wrong, or being diagnosed as having ADHD. Neurodiversity can show up and often does show up as a symptom of awakening. That as you relieve yourself of the character that you have been your whole life, where you've been a very high-functioning 3D person, and now you're shedding your identity, your ego, and you are tuning into more up here and more of the quantum field and more of who you are, it will and can easily display as neurodiversity, being on the spectrum, ADD, ADHD, all of the above. I've done other videos, so I won't actually get into all of this. I've done a whole other video on neurodiversity, so that is available. But the thing is it's not something that needs to be suppressed. It's something that needs to be gotten to know. So if you have what you call ADHD, and you're probably correct, but whether you've been diagnosed or you're self-diagnosed, whether you're medicated or not medicated, it is the way that you receive interpret, connect into multiple levels of dimensional frequencies and energies. And then it's based on that, like the too many tabs are open all at once, that feeling, it's based on that you then master, you come to understand yourself better. And then you come into another level of mastery where you're like, okay, how do I bring all of this in and really create some kind of physical reality from all of the information that I'm receiving up here, for all that I am tapped into? So as far as ADHD medication goes, I would say that you consider what I've just shared, that ADHD is not a bad thing. It's not something that needs to be suppressed. It's just something that needs to be a part of your personal mastery journey of beginning to really understand who you really are outside of your ability to function in 3D as the identity that you used to be. So there's probably more that I could say about that, but I don't want this video to be too much longer. So the bottom line is there's way too much spiritual dogma that says that if you're on medication, you can't ascend. That is not true. I shared a little bit about my personal story because I'm hoping that that will impress upon you that whether you're awake or not awake, or how awake you think you are, or where you may be on your ascension journey, your higher self will always be working with you and through you to help you achieve whatever is next in the queue for where you need to be. And you need to trust that, and your only job is to participate in it. So if you are getting messages and intuitive guidance and synchronicities that you are interpreting as, well, maybe I need to give this medication a second look, then perhaps that's something that you should pay attention to. There are medications that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the fact that you're going to need to take some things in order to resource your body properly while your body goes through the ascension process. So it's a big topic. Again, it's outside of my scope, but I am just offering you perspective and wisdom through the lens of ascension and what my personal experience has been. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask in the comments, and I will see what I can do for you. Until next time, bye for now.